Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I am Sarah Martin with The Contoured Chemist. Today I'm going to share a little bit about my experience in case it helps somebody. If you don't know if you just have a damaged barrier, if you have dermatitis or eczema, whatever the case may be. Share a little bit about my journey with getting eczema for the very first time, and what I did to get it under control. So if you want to check it out, please keep watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Okay friends, so I just want to first start off the bat. This video is in no way intended to treat or diagnose eczema, but to educate in case you experience some or similar things to what I've been dealing with. And I do believe it was my very first case of eczema, which can show up at any time in your life for a variety of reasons, but I will get into that in a minute. So if you are unclear what eczema is, it is actually a type of dermatitis. And I have shared with you guys before, I know I have eye dermatitis. I have been diagnosed by my dermatologist, and I do have a steroid cream when that flares up. But it is, I know for a fact, due to a lot of trial and error, it was caused by the lash bonds I used to use from Lashify. It gave me an allergen. I am now allergic to it, and I get contact dermatitis anytime I use it. I'm allergic to the acrylates. And now I do understand not everyone is a chemist like me and can go through ingredient lists and trial and error and figure out what is possibly causing their allergic reaction. It is not fun. It is very frustrating. It is just mentally exhausting, especially when it is showing up on your face in the form of, red, itchy, swollen eyes or patches of peeling skin off their face. Nobody wants that. So if you're dealing with something like that, go to your dermatologist and give you an allergy test. They can ask you a lot of questions to kind of point what might be causing the issue. They will most likely give you a steroid cream. And so for me personally, I try to limit using that as much as possible. A steroid is not something you should be putting on your face day after day. And so my journey, I wanted to see what I was doing, what was causing it. And I'm going to kind of explain how I come to the conclusion that I did based on my own trial and error and what worked for me. And I feel like this can help a lot of people just with if you mess up your barrier, because that is how mine started. And so I wanted to kind of share with you guys my experience, because it's not fun. And if you can avoid it at all possible, then hopefully this video can help you. Eczema is a type of dermatitis. Dermatitis is just a group of conditions that cause skin inflammation. And we all know inflammation can show up as red, swollen, so many things hyperpigmentation is also increased by inflammation. There are so many things that are happening with our skin. Acne, all inflammatory responses, right? Things you need to know about eczema is there is no for sure known cause. The cause is unknown. There is no cure as well, kind of like rosacea, unfortunately. It is a skin condition that kind of develops into very dry, sometimes itchy patches of skin. It can be anywhere on the body. Mine was on my face, but it is very common. 31 million Americans deal with this every year. Sometimes you get it as a kid, cradle cap, for example. I know one of my children had it. I can't remember which one. And then they grow out of it. But then some people develop it later in life as well. There are 7 types of eczema. The most common is called atopic eczema, and it is the hardest one also to treat. You probably have heard of contact dermatitis. That is a form of eczema. It can be caused by an irritant or an allergic reaction, which is what happened when I had my eye issue. Sometimes hear this about perioral dermatitis. That's a form of eczema. That is also, sometimes it can be caused by the fluoride in your toothpaste. Like you brush your teeth and suddenly you have a reaction around your mouth that develops into red, itchy, peeling skin. Seborrheic eczema is usually on the scalp. This is what is causing dandruff. So that is usually it. Like everyone has a certain amount of bacteria and yeast that live on our bodies. I know it's gross to think about, but we do. When you hear about the microbiome being disrupted, that can cause acne, right? Certain types of bacteria cause acne. This Malassezia yeast can cause, if it's overproduced, if it's thriving on your skin more so than it needs to be, that causes dandruff. It can also show up on other areas of your face, such as places that have an excess of oil production. So sometimes you'll see it on the ears, eyelids, around the nose. The problem is that every single one of these types can have one or more causes. So there's not just like one cause that creates all of this eczema. There are so many different factors that can cause what they call a flare-up, with what triggers it. And I'll tell you what triggered mine. But number one, an allergen or an irritant. So this causes your immune system to overreact. Which, therefore, your defense of your immune system is inflammation. And like I said, eczema is an inflammatory response. So this is what gives us the symptoms. 2, lucky us, genetics. If you have family members that have been prone to allergies, even asthma, that have a history of eczema, your chances of getting it are much higher. I have allergies and asthma on both sides of my family. My dad was just diagnosed with eczema for the very first time in his life, and he's in his late 60s. It can happen at any time. Lucky me, it runs in my family as well. 3 is the big one that most people associate with eczema, and that is your environment. Environmental factors that can cause it are anything from smoke, pollutants outside, certain fabrics, wool, itchy fabrics can actually cause it on your body. Detergent, soaps, cleansers, shampoos. And then that also encompasses change in season, which was one of my factors. So a change in drier air and decreased humidity, which is a lot of times why you'll see eczema flare-ups in the winter months. And then last but certainly not least, emotional. Stress and anxiety are prone to increasing those flare-ups, as well as hormonal. Some people don't get it for the first time until they're perimenopause or menopausal, or illness, because again, you are weakening your immune system. If your body's fighting something, suddenly you can have a flare. So I'll talk about what exactly triggered mine, but the treatment, obviously, if you go to a dermatologist, they're gonna probably recommend some kind of steroid once they have figured out what kind you have. Usually it's a topical steroid. Sometimes it might be a pill. Recommend gentle products for you to use over those areas because you don't want anything to make it worse. Light therapy, which I will get into, and then avoiding your triggers. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is I wanted to bring a little bit of education about what can trigger it, and then also if you've dealt with eczema before or you haven't and then suddenly you get it, like being able to think logically, like, what did I change? What is causing this? Because there is no cure. You will always have to try to avoid those triggers in the future if you can figure out what is causing them. Things like avoiding hot showers, which is really hard for me because I like my hot showers. You know, adding a humidifier if it's caused by a change in the season, avoiding certain irritants and allergens. I mean, and this can be anything from even pets causing it. I will never get rid of my cats, sorry. But if I think that is not what caused mine, but I'm just saying, like, all of those things can contribute. So you can't just say, oh, that product did it, or you shouldn't use that makeup or something like that. That does not mean you can't be allergic to something in it. And I will talk about the ingredient I decided to remove from my lineup and why. But I'm just saying, if you can narrow it down to something and you can find a common ingredient that's in everything, then that could be it. It can take a lot of trial and error, and it can be very difficult and frustrating. So it's one of the reasons why it took me so long to get it clear, is because it is a trial and error process. It can take days to weeks to clear. Let's talk about what I think my triggers were, and then I'll share with you how I changed my skincare routine. Now, if you don't know if it's eczema and you just think, oh, my barrier got jacked up, like the symptoms of a damaged barrier can be very similar, because you can get red, irritated, things can burn when you apply it. At first, I thought I just messed up my barrier. And then when I started getting patches, I'll show you pictures of what it looked like. When it started peeling off in huge sections, I was like, this is not a damaged barrier. Oh my gosh, I think I have eczema. So taking you back, early fall, I decided to try a prescription medication in order to see if I can lighten my hyperpigmentation. It jacked up my barrier. So my barrier was already compromised, and I had been dealing with that for a while. And I do think that is one of the biggest triggers for causing this kinds of issues, is if your barrier is already damaged, it's gonna let in more irritants because it can't protect itself fully. So I might have tried something that was just too much because my barrier was already compromised. I also got sick around the time, and I could tell that for the past few weeks, our family has just been passing around germs, and it's just one thing after another. As soon as I feel better, another kid catches something else, and then I catch it, and my body, obviously my immune system is going into overdrive trying to fight off all of these lovely germs my kids bring. Also a very stressful time of the year as a business owner, and also a parent, right? All of the things, all of the to-do lists and all of that stress, anxiety. Does it ever go away? No, but this time of the year, it's harder for me. Said I have the genetics, I already have another type of dermatitis. It doesn't surprise me that I developed another issue, right? Change of season, I always notice a change in my skin, but it also just happened to be at the same time I was turning on my heat, and all of a sudden it was cold here in Missouri. I don't think that was a coincidence. And then last but not least, as you can probably guess, my job probably has a lot to do with it. I am sent a lot of things to test. I am constantly testing skincare, makeup, and I'm sure that my damaged barrier was probably more easily irritated with the change of all of the things, right? So I had a lot of factors, to be honest, and so the best I can do was the first thing for me. Obviously, I can't just completely get rid of stress or sickness or whatever the case my body might be attempting to fight off. But I can't deal with my genetics or even the change of season, but I can control my skincare routine. And so the first thing I did was I just switched to all very gentle barrier supporting ingredients. I did go to my favorite two cleansers, which was the Cleanser and the new Experiment Plasma Wash. Now from that, I concluded it was not helping. So even though I was using that and just the normal moisturizers I tend to use, it was not helping. And so then I dove a little deeper and I looked into ingredients that can make eczema worse. And that's when I discovered, I'll put it on the screen, I believe it's pronounced cocamidopropylbutane, which has other names as well. And it is used to thicken shampoos, cleansers and lotions. So I noticed a theme in everything I was using, even though like Prequel, for example, they have the National Eczema Association seal on what I was using. It does have that ingredient in it. So if you are using it and your eczema is getting worse, your skin might be similar to mine and be more sensitive to that ingredient. Now, I am planning on going back to that cleanser once my eczema has fully healed and seeing if it was not that cleanser. When I switched cleansers and took out that ingredient of everything, it automatically started getting better. So here's what I did. I went through all my skincare, and as you can imagine, I have a lot, and I looked for that ingredient and I made sure it wasn't in anything. So here's my daily routine. In the morning, I would either use water, because again, I was drying and peeling, or I would go in with my Bioderma. This one is amazing for very sensitive skin. It's practically water, but it's got micellar technology that actually will clean off dirt and oil. I use this in the morning, kind of clean off those patches, because it also is very soothing, and mine were at that point in a stage that they were starting to itch. All right, so Bioderma micellar water. This is my holy grail micellar. I will always have it. I even would use this at night instead of a double cleanse. Sometimes I just use this as my first cleanse and take off everything and then go in and wash my face. And I find that also worked really well for me during this time. I was using quite a few barrier serums, and I had to learn for myself. They weren't helping at all. And I have a lot of great barrier products. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that none of them can be used, but I needed soothing, calming, healing with very minimal ingredients so that nothing else was adding and exacerbating my problem. Like, I needed to use something tried and true that I knew would work on my skin. And so I literally just bought a new bottle because I went through another bottle of my Centella. And let me tell you, like, during this process when my skin was very red and inflamed, we know this takes down inflammation, it soothes, and it helps your skin barrier repair itself. But it's like one of the few things I can put on my full face when I have even compromised skin barrier, open wounds, whatever the case may be, and it won't burn. And obviously burning is a indication that it's something in there is too much, right? I literally just got a message yesterday, I think, someone that's saying that this is like helping their rosacea so much and all these things. And I agree. This is liquid gold to me. I can't tell you how many bottles of this I went through. I've been using this twice a day now for 3 weeks, and I took out an eye cream. I've not been using anything but this. So eczema does create very dry patches. What, in my opinion, is the best humectant in the world for dry, dehydrated skin? Glycerin. So I've been using the Experiment Super Saturated as a treatment, as a mask with this daily, almost daily, maybe every other day. Because the problem is when it's like drying, peeling, flaking skin, and it's very red and irritated, and you still have to go out in public, I needed something to kind of calm that down. And I looked at the ingredients. I knew this was good. It does not have that ingredient that was not working for me. And so I switched from very hydrating cleansers to one with very minimal ingredients, but then I added my hydration in another way. And so I would use this and then the reusable sheet mask. And I'm telling you, within a few days of using these together, like, the peeling subsided greatly. So it definitely worked for me. Days when I needed it covered, I needed to leave the house, and I needed it covered because it really was pretty unsightly. I tested a few different products and I could not get anything to kind of like stick or stay on that area other than my Seint 3D foundation. Truly, it's the only thing that really covered, because I would use mango to cover the deep redness, and then it would stay all day. I didn't have to set it, nothing, but it would stay and it would be covered. And because the creams are very petrolatum based, which is one of the best ingredients for eczema, it held in that moisture and it didn't get dry and flaky during the day. And they're like, you know what I mean? Like bring attention to those areas. So I needed extra hydration, obviously, so that makeup would lay well on it. These are my two favorite silicone-free moisturizers. I'd say this one's a little bit more lightweight. I've been talking about this as a drugstore option for years. Vanicream is one of the best. You'll see here in a second. Other things I've been using from them. One of the best, if you are having any kind of skin barrier issues, skin irritation, not knowing what's causing it, if you really look at the ingredients, they're very simple. Not a lot of, I don't want to call it fluff, but there's not a lot of ingredients that can cause irritation in Vanicream's products. Like, that's why they work for so many skin types, and that's why they're recommended by dermatologists anytime you're having a skin condition. In fact, my dad went to the dermatologist. They only recommended this. Just good old Vanicream in a tub, and that's all I used, and it helped it clear up. So when in doubt, go very simple. Drugstore, Vanicream. It literally is like free of dyes, fragrance, masking fragrance, lanolin, parabens, formaldehyde, for sensitive skin. It's really comprised of water, squalane, glycerin, hyaluronic acid, lots of ceramides, all the things you need when your skin is trying to heal. So compromise barrier, go simple, go basic. Vanicream is where it's at. I stopped all actives while I was clearing this. Like I said, these are the only two serums I used, but once it started clearing up, I did add this for my morning moisturizer. It never stung, it never burned. I felt like I was getting a little bit of help in the anti-aging department because there are peptides, bioretinol, which is another way to say a plant-derived retinol, but not really a retinol. So it's a retinol alternative. It's not going to be like cause the possible irritation like an actual retinol will. And this is just heavy in peptides and ceramides. Peptides are actually very hydrating, not irritating. So for me, I was like, okay, this doesn't have that ingredient. I'm going to try it. And my skin loved this. This is also one that's very free from a lot of things like fragrance that can also cause irritation. And so I did try it. My skin really liked this. And this is what I've been using after like the first week every morning under my Seint. Really, if my whole skin didn't need it, I would just put a little bit on my finger and then just put it on those areas. Work like a charm. Get me a smooth application. So nighttime, do not skip your night regimen. I made this mistake once or twice throughout these last few weeks of me trying to heal this. And let me tell you, I regretted it when I woke up and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it looks so much worse. And it's because your skin heals itself overnight. So really you want to make sure you're removing the day, all of the irritants, all the pollutants from outside, anything that could be left on your skin. You really want to remove it and then give yourself that protection overnight, the healing, all of the things. So I've been using strictly the Bioderma micellar cleansing oil. This is the same Senso Bio, which is the one from the sensitive skin. So just think, pink cap is for sensitive skin. This one again doesn't have that ingredient. Guys, I went through almost all of my cleansers, and let me tell you, that ingredient is in a lot more things than I expected. So I will keep you posted. I'm going to start adding it in here shortly. I want to make sure that it is fully healed. I can still see a little, I don't have makeup on, but like I can still see a little bit of redness. So I'm just, you always want to make sure you don't want to start it too early and then undo what you all the healing you've done. If I was double cleansing, I used one of these. If I didn't have makeup on, I'd use this. So I was using this to remove my makeup. And then I was going in with good old Vanicream. Vanicream Gentle Facial Cleanser. It's got the little seal, approved for eczema. And let me tell you, it's because it doesn't have any crazy ingredients. It doesn't have that ingredient that can make it worse. Really gentle surfactants to clean. And let me tell you, I didn't realize until I was using this daily how well of a cleanser this is. It's like no fluff, it just does what it does. And let me tell you, my skin, the rest of my skin has actually been really good. My texture has gotten better. Like, I don't know, I think my skin likes these minimal products. And I always say, when in doubt, pare down your routine to bare minimum. Cleanse, moisturize. That's what I've been doing most days. I do add this when I need it, this a few times a week, and my skin's been happy. So Vanicream cleanser, if you're dealing with a compromised barrier, just switch to this. You'll be good. You can double cleanse with this as well, but I really do love this oil cleanser. It's good. Okay, I am gonna share a couple of the moisturizers I did try, worked fine. You guys know I love my the Barrier Therapy by Prequel. This also has the eczema seal. It works great. So does the Vanicream. It works great. This one I feel like it's just a textural thing for me. When I was using it on my full face, I felt like, I don't know, it just didn't feel the same. I have become, since, obsessed with a new moisturizer. Now, I had tried this before. I guess I just never had dry enough skin to really need this one. And when I was doing research on eczema, I kept seeing people say that they're using this. And man, I can see why. Boom. Good old La Roche-Posay coming in hot. I already had this one. I'm pretty sure they gifted it to me. Thank you. I needed it so bad. I was like, ooh, I have that one. I literally can just take a tiny bit of this, especially if like, I just see a little bit of flaking and I just put it right there. But I've been using this on my full face. The texture of this is like silk. And I don't know why I never noticed it before, but now I'm like a convert. This is the Lipikar AP Triple Repair Moisturizing Cream. Up to 48-hour hydration, suitable for babies and adults. Extra dry skin, body, and face. And let me tell you, when I was going through, it doesn't have that. It's just, it does have silicone, so that's why I wasn't using it under the makeup. But on days that I was not putting on makeup, I would put this on. And I would just really make sure I was moisturizing my skin multiple times a day. And man, it might be one of my favorite moisturizers now of all time. It's just so good. It literally feels so good on my full face. And I will wake up the next morning and I'll like feel my face and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like my face is so soft. And look at that. Like I swear my texture's gotten better. And it probably because I was using too much or testing too much stuff. Keep it simple. And this bottle's gonna last me forever because I literally, you don't even need a full pump for your face. That's how hydrating it is. So if I could just recommend like two things, like you have a compromised barrier or you think you might be dealing with eczema, switch to Vanicream and use this at night. Boom. This duo, I think, is what saved my skin. Now, other things to try. Because I was looking up eczema, the IG algorithm just just went after me, right? You guys know how it is in stories, and all of a sudden there's ads every 2 seconds for eczema products. And so I tried them because in the beginning I was very desperate, guys. I was very desperate. I didn't know what kind I had. I didn't know what caused it until I really thought about what I was doing. And one of them is this by Marin, is how you say it. And it's Soothing Hydration Cream formulated for sensitive eczema-prone skin. Now, the before and afters got me because when I got it, mine started on my eyelids. So it started, and normally when I had my eye dermatitis, it was under my eye here because it was caused from the bond touching my eye as I blinked. This has been in my crease and on the sides of my eyes, and my eyelids have been swollen, and I still have a little bit of right there on that one. This is extremely soothing. The before and afters literally looked just like me because of this girl and like her red swollen eyes. And I was like, yes, add to cart. I need that. And this was when I first just kind of developed it and I was miserable, right? So I do think it's an amazing cream. It did not solve it for me though. I needed more to it. And I was using this before. I mean, I tried this and I hadn't quite eliminated that ingredient from my other regimen yet. Really good even if you just have a damage barrier. It has marine glycoprotein. So they have this ingredient, I believe it's derived from lobsters that can because they can regenerate limbs. It's like to help regenerate your barrier. I was like, that's really cool. It's something very unique. I don't think I've ever seen it in anything else. And I think this cream is really good. Then I saw an ad for this and I was like, I already have that. I've used it for many things over the years. It's not cheap, but it really is great for inflammation. And again, this is an inflammatory condition. So it's called Immuaid Max. You've probably seen it. I've gone through a lot of this jar over the years. It can be used for anything it's an antibacterial, it's an antifungal. It has metallic silver in it, which I believe is what is an antiseptic, anti-inflammatory. It takes away pain. I had like a infected toenail once. I know, gross, but this healed it, where it hurt to walk. And I was like, what is going on? And I'd put this on and it was like a hangnail, and it took away the pain and took down the inflammation. So it really is a magical thing to have in your collection, like a ointment type texture, meaning it's very occlusive. It is allotonin, ceramides, it's got wax, emu oil, castor oil, tea tree oil, which is what the smell is, which is the antibacterial, squalane, silver, citrate. So if your eczema is being caused by, which one of the ads I saw was like, oh, it's actually your eczema is being caused by this bacteria growth on the face. And I was like, is it? So I tried it. It didn't solve it for me, but I do think the texture of it didn't hurt. It's not gonna hurt it. If you guys are anything like me and you're desperate for relief, I tried everything. And even if it doesn't heal it, it will take away the itch and the inflammation. And this does immediately relieve the itch. So if just a moisturizer isn't taking that away, depending also on the type you could have, if you have itchiness, then this will take that away. This one definitely relieved the itch for me. Skin barrier support, I've shown this time and time again. Also, just use some kind of petrolatum based ointment. Petrolatum is known to really help eczema because it seals that moisture in. Whatever the moisture is you put on it, it's gonna seal it in, protect it overnight, not let anything else get in that damaged barrier. So Prequel, all three of their ointment, balm, skin utility products would be great for eczema. And I tried them all over the course of this time and they all work amazing. So getting down to what finally worked for me, and I do believe mine was this, the one I can't pronounce, seborrheic dermatitis, which is the one caused from too much yeast, which I said, you have this yeast on your skin at all times. This is what causes dandruff. And if you have dandruff that has flakes. Usually all you have to do, switch to a dandruff shampoo, it'll take care of it. But I finally figured it out based on where it was placed on my face. Now, a lot of times people get this on the sides of their nose. I did not have it on my nose. It started on my eyelids, which again has some of the most oil glands on your face. My eyelids and in your brow is a huge indicator that you might have this. If you have very like flaky brows and a moisturizer is not getting rid of it, it's most likely this. And so that's kind of what tipped me off that. And it was around my hairline. Very much like, I was like, is it being caused by my shampoo? And then I was like, but why is it in my eye and my brow? So I've heard you can just use a dandruff shampoo on your skin as a face wash. I didn't have ketoconazole, this one. That is the one that's supposedly the best. But guess what? It's antifungal. So this most likely probably would have kept working if I would have tried that. But I went ahead and got an antifungal cream that I already had in my stash. This is clotrimazole, 1%, very weak. A fungal infection. That's it, guys. So I put this on just where I needed it. Within the next day, it's like it was practically gone. And so put this on a couple times a day. Now, I'm sure if you go to a dermatologist and they diagnose you with that, they will probably give you a prescription form of this, probably stronger. But if your eczema is peeling off in like big chunks, it most likely is this form of eczema. All of those things like hormones, illness, all those things I listed can also cause this yeast to overgrow on your skin. Isn't that crazy? In my opinion, the more you know, the better informed you are, the more you can be ready to deal with these crazy things that happen to us and our faces as we get older. Now, one of the things I did that I think was one of the most beneficial, where I immediately saw the reduce in redness, irritation, because I think it's bringing down the inflammation, is light therapy. So I'll be honest, around this time of the year, times get stressful. I'm rarely home at night. I tend to do this at night. And if I don't have enough time to do my full routine, I skip it. And when I realized it was eczema and that's an inflammatory condition, I was like, what's the best anti-inflammatory thing I know? Red light therapy. This is my Ride or Die Cure Mask. It just doesn't fully cover my entire face. I would say that was the only downfall of this one. And since mine was like up here, I even had a little bit right here on my forehead, this one didn't fully cover. So I've been trying the Current Body, and this one definitely covers way more of my face. Like it covers my, oh, I just poked myself in the eye. My full face for sure, but it is not comfortable, to be honest. It is not comfortable on my nose at all. So this is definitely more comfortable. This is not. It's got a cord. The new version I heard is more comfortable, but I don't have that one. So Current Body, whatever you have, if you have a light panel. My husband's been wanting to get a full body red light panel, and I'm like, I would totally use that. 10 minutes a night, clean, dry face, and then use your red light 10 minutes, and then go finish with your skincare routine and lock and load it. You just don't want to put on your full skincare and then do your light therapy, but I'm noticing such a difference. It's getting me back into my routine of using my red light every night while I sit on the couch or I multitask, right? So that is everything I tried. In my opinion, if you just want to get some immediate relief, try a very gentle cleanse moisturizer. You have red light. I noticed an immediate difference. I feel like every time I incorporated one of those three things. I am continuing to do now that I can't see it visually. I feel like I'm gonna give myself a little bit more time of doing exactly what I'm doing, and then I'm going to slowly incorporate one thing at a time. One thing, Sarah, only one thing, which is very hard for me because I have a lot of great skincare products. So I'm going to be low and slow. Now, if you're like me and you're only having issues in a couple of areas of your face, I'll be honest, I have like still used my Cure. I did use even gentle exfoliating acid on the lower half of my face because it has just been from here up, like my eyes upward. So I have done that a few times with no issues. It was just this area I didn't treat. So you can tailor your skincare around those areas, spot treat. So if you don't know if it is a compromised barrier or if maybe you're having eczema for the first time like me, just really take a good hard look at your ingredients, what you're using, pare it down. Keep it simple, be very minimal in what you're doing. Cleanse, maybe a serum that you know is not gonna cause you any irritation. If you don't know, just skip it completely. In the beginning, I just moisturized, cleansed and moisturized, and then I slowly added in things to see the difference. And I feel like with this type of condition, you can immediately see if it helped or hurt. If it is more red or more flaky the next day, don't do that again. And so if you don't want to learn by trial and error like I did, keep it simple. Go to your dermatologist. If you're like me, it's very hard to get into my dermatologist, so sometimes that's not an option. Not everybody has a dermatologist they go to regularly. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, I am by no means an expert, but I can help you based on my experience. Definitely check out, like, Prequel has an entire line devoted to eczema. Look for things with the National Eczema Association accepted seal of approval. Those, for the most part, are gonna be safe, and you know you're not gonna add additional irritation. Those of you that have dealt with it before, was your experience similar to mine? Was it completely different? Do you know what type you have? Oh, there are so many things cause stress around this time of the year, and I hope your skin is not one of them. I'm happy to say I think I've got mine figured out, and now it's all about control. There is no cure, and I will not be free of this forever. If it happened once, it can happen again, and so now I gotta prevent it. Why you pay attention to your triggers. Drop the links to everything down in the drop box below the video. If any of this helped you, let me know. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next week. Love you.